welcome to Major League Wrestling. I'm Craig Johnson along with Scott Hudson, and last week could only be described as undescribable.
That's a good way to describe it, Craig. For those of you who didn't see it, last week we learned that the identity of the boss was indeed Max Andrews, our interim commissioner here in the Global Wrestling Federation. Everything involving Cactus Jack, Muckin Singh, Rip Rogers, Scott Anthony, everything involving the cartel revolved around the boss, and we learned that the boss is Max Andrews.
Joe Pedicino and Bonnie Blackstone have some interesting features for us on this edition of Major League Wrestling. Let's take a look and see what they have in store for us right here.
We'll be back later in this program with news from the newsroom. We'll talk about the situation with Chaz, Terry Garvin, and the Dirty Davis brothers, and I'll have some comments about one Max Andrews.
I'll be in the audience talking to some of our fans about the Renegade Warriors, finding out more about the situation with the boss, Max Andrews, and allegations of corruption within the auspices of the GWF.
Fans, if you weren't with us last week, well, I guess the best thing is to let them see them themselves.
Well, let's just take another look at it, Craig. It was an amazing situation where Joe Pedicino finally, through some investigative work of his own, determined the identity of the boss.
Hello, everyone. Craig Johnson along with Scott Hudson, joined by gorgeous Gary Young, and this thing is with Rugged Rod Price, the Excuse me.
I hate to interrupt, and I'm sorry, Gary, but as you know, last week I told you that I had taped a tape recording and that it exposed who the boss was. I've had a terrible week, Craig. I've had threatening phone calls. I've been reminded that the taping was illegal. And I admit it, I was eavesdropping. I heard a conversation in the dressing room in the back. I taped it, but it does expose who the boss is. And even though I probably shouldn't have the tape, and even though I probably shouldn't, I have decided that I am going to play the tape for everybody.
I really want to hear this personally, so
this is official GWF business. Why don't you let me have the tape, and we'll take it back to the office, and we'll work it out.
I can't do that, Max.
It is official business, right? And this thing was done illegally. Let's just go ahead and take it back. Let me just take it. Come on. I want to hear who's on it. I'd like to know myself.
I can't do it, Max.
I'm sorry. Look, I did everything I could do. I guarantee you, I put 9 of your names in that box myself. I did it myself. This is some kind of interim commissioner you turn out to be, Max. I'm here. I'm Scott Anthony. I'm the Palm Beach Red Cross.
Max Andrews?
Max Andrews.
This was illegal. You've heard last week about situations just like this, all over the news. You are in trouble, Mr. Pedicino. Right now, you are in trouble.
This tape is proof that Max...
I'll tell you another thing. You should have thought about those phone calls earlier.
What? This tape is proof that that man is the boss and is in charge of the cartel.
The interim...
Max Andrews is the boss. He is the interim commissioner on one hand, but he's the man causing all the trouble. On the other hand, he's running the cartel, and I've got proof of it, and I don't care what he says, the world is going to know about it.
Well, it's now sunken in a little bit. Yeah. Max Andrews, indeed the boss. I know I was feeling a little bit bad about it, but, you know, it's something has got to be...
Guys, I'm sorry to do this to you again, okay, but this has been an amazing week, not only in my life, but in the Global Wrestling Federation. And because of the situation last week, I got in touch with the offices of the Global Wrestling Federation in Barcelona, Spain. They heard the tape. They have some action they would like to take. If I can, Scott, if I can, I would like to bring in this gentleman. This is Marcus Villas. He is from Barcelona, Spain, and Mr. Villas has a statement from the Global Wrestling Federation. Mr. Villas, welcome to the Global Dome. I know this is your first trip here, and I know that you want to get right to the statement because of the importance of the statement.
Gracias. My name is Marco Villa, and I am from the head of the internal division of GWF in Barcelona, Spain. I have come to announce that as of today, Max Andrews has been fired. He is no longer internal commissioner of the GWF. Until we find a commissioner, I will be acting as the interim commissioner.
So Max Andrews is no longer the interim commissioner. There will be no more threats. There will be no more interference. He no longer has anything to do with the Global Wrestling Federation. And I'm sorry it had to come this way, Craig, but that's just the way it happens.
Well, thank goodness it did happen. We'll be back with action after this break here in the GWF. Stay tuned. Craig Johnson back in the Global Dome. And Chaz, I've got some good news for you, but I've also got some bad news. First, the good news. Due to the overwhelming response on the Global Wrestling Federation hotline and also the letters that we received, the competition committee has decided that you indeed do deserve another title shot for the light heavyweight championship. Now the bad news. Because of the situation with interim commissioner Max Andrews, any matches that were not signed before the situation with Mr. Andrews began will not take place until the whole situation is rectified.
No, why?
So it's good news and bad news. Well, because they have to look into each and everything that the boss has done.
And I may not get the Lightning Kid now, but I'm going to be waiting. I'm going to be watching him, and I'm going to get him, though.
This man has beaten the Lightning Kid before. He's worn the belt for a time. He's looking forward to a shot. When it comes, we don't know, but we'll have it here in the GWF.
Introducing Jacko Victory and Rip Morgan, the Maulers. They are not the royal family anymore. The Maulers, Jacko Victory and Rip Morgan, hit the ring, and mauling is what they do best.
Well, before we get into this match, I want to talk a little bit about the situation with Chaz. I'm so happy for him that the fans were, I guess, vociferous enough to say that he got cheated and he deserves another title shot against the Lightning Kid. But even though the interim commissioner has been sent over from Barcelona, Spain, now that Max Andrews has been fired, everything that was ready to go, like a title shot for Chaz, is now delayed quite a bit, possibly, until they totally investigate the situation with Max Andrews. So good news for Chaz, bad news for Chaz, and as far as the Maulers are concerned, it may look like they want to deliver some bad news, but look at Ben Jordan. Oh my. Hey, Terry Daniels with a drop kick, count of one, and Rip Morgan kicks out Ben Jordan, and Terry Daniels the opponents here.
It's a new look for the Maulers. You remember them as the royal family for many years in the WCW and here in the GWF, as well as in Georgia All-Star Wrestling. They, I am told, have burned their robes. They have completely renounced their ties to royalty. No respect for the Queen, anything like that. They are completely distancing themselves from the royal family. They are Maulers through and through.
An intriguing look to the, can't call them tights, the wrestling pants of Jacko Victory and Rip Morgan. Almost looks like a totem pole there.
That's what they've got, and I'm told that the tights of Jacko Victory and Rip Morgan have characterizations of wood carvings, which are significant to New Zealand culture. The first carving is, or they call it a tarku carving. It's called a tico, which means tribal mauler. I'm told that's what the insignia is on the right leg there. You see of Jacko Victory's tights, a tico, a tribal mauler. The bottom carving is called a hopu.
Well, maybe the fans might know a little bit more about this. Let's go to Bonnie. Bonnie, do you know any idea about this?
I'm in the stands with Wendy. Wendy, what do you think about the Maulers?
The Maulers are really brutal, but I cannot believe this thing with Max Andrews, of all people.
He had everybody going here in the GWF.
The fans are even worried about what's going on with the Max Andrews situation.
Yeah.
I can't blame them. But there you see Rip Morgan, and I guess what you're telling us is the totem pole or the carving look there of the Maulers seems to show that they're indeed Maulers now and no longer royal family or anything like that.
I reviewed my notes. The tarpu carvings that are caricatured on the right leg of both Jacko Victory and Rip Morgan symbolize tribal mauler, which is the Tico carving, the Hefu and Moko symbolizing courage. Tribal maulers and courage are what their insignias represent. Oh, that didn't take a lot of courage there.
And that represents total mauling by the mauler. Terry Daniels. Count of 1, 2. This one's over. They've been mauled.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the match, the Maulers.
The Maulers victorious in action. And when we return, we will see the Dirty Davis brothers against the team of Chaz and Terry Garvin. It's that GWF.
No more Mr. Nice Guys.
Garvin introduced to the fans around ringside here at the Global Dome. This is a rematch. As the last time these two teams met in the ring, Mike Davis hit Chaz in the throat. Davis was not the legal man in the ring at the time. So Chaz and Terry Garvin challenged the team from the bad side of Nashville, getting ready to make their way to ringside.
Introducing their opponents for this tag team event. At a total weight of 487 pounds, they hail from the bad side of Nashville. Introducing Mike and Tom Davis, the Dirty Davis brothers.
Holy moly, take a look at that face.
Well, Mike Davis working with one bad wheel this week, from what I understand. And in training, he came down on his knee wrong. So that may help the team of Chaz and Terry Garvin. Now, in times past, it seems that the Dirty Davis brothers have taken out their frustrations on Chaz. I really have no idea why this is the situation, other than the fact that maybe they're a little bit envious or jealous of the fact that Chaz and Terry Garvin get all the adulation from the fans.
Well, I think more than that, the fact that Chaz and Terry Garvin are big favorites of the female fans here in the Global Dome. They're kind of heart-throbbish, if you would. I think Chaz even has a heart tattooed on his left chest these days. You'll notice that later. And that the Davis brothers may be just a little bit jealous and or mad about that. They don't seem like the guys who go too much for the adulation of the female fans. That's just something they don't go in for, and they're going to take it out on these guys. But I don't know that Terry Garvin and Chaz are going to lay down and let the Davis brothers roll right over.
Chaz tagged in and comes over the top rope and goes into the side headlock. Tag in to Tom Davis. Whip into the ropes. Chaz comes off and belly-to-belly suplex delivered by Tom Davis. Pulls him up by the hair before even a count of 1. And now, look at that suplex. Tom, that is, recently returned from Japan. And apparently is showing his techniques to Chaz, now making his way to ringside. Who is that?
That looks...
That's Terry Garvin, I know that, but at ringside...
That's Tug Taylor.
What is he doing at ringside?
He is not involved in this match, and I don't think he's a manager of the Davis brothers.
Well, you begin to worry as he's shaking his head. Well... with all the things that have been happening, the boss situation, you know, last week Eddie Gilbert getting away with things, I guess that some of it, well, he's shaking his head and walking away. Meanwhile, Tom Davis punishing Chaz in the ring.
I don't understand.
An intriguing situation with Tug Taylor here.
Just walked to ringside, took a look around, shook his head, and walked off. Now, what was he looking for? What didn't meet with his approval? Looked like the Davis brothers had the upper hand on Chaz.
Well, Mike Davis delivering a devastating short clothesline there to Chaz. And now stepping on the throat. Even have the sole of the boot on the jaw of Chaz. And it looks like they're trying to keep Chaz in the ring.
And speaking with the Dirty Davis brothers on the Global Wrestling Federation hotline. Oh, they didn't talk about that.
It looked like he was trying to do an artistic spike that they wouldn't even allow in the NFL.
Oh, my
Except
goodness.
doing it with the body of Chaz.
The Davis brothers spoke on the hotline about the fact that they don't have to worry about being double-crossed by their partner. That when you're tagging up with your own flesh and blood, it's always going to be there in the corner for you.
And Chaz trying to pull Tom Davis over. But I have to agree with that. Family so important in wrestling. You think of the fabulous families of wrestling, the Briscoes, the Andersons,
The Steiners, the Youngbloods. Family goes a long way in wrestling, and the Davis brothers certainly putting it to good use.
Chaz gets away, gets the tag. Double clothesline by Terry Garvin. Garvin going to work on Mike Davis. Has one for Tom Davis, too. Look at Terry Garvin go to work on Mike Davis. Chaz goes to work on Tom Davis. There they go. Collision. The Davis brothers. Terry Garvin. Bulldog right to the left. Garvin. Look at that. Chaz. That's the win. He got it. Gets the win. How about that? Chaz with a very smart move. Excellent move on the part of Chaz. He outsmarted him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the match, Terry Garvin and Chaz.
How about that as the Davis brothers stand in the ring astonished? Well, they seem to think that they have another day. Let's go to all the news right here.
Me about the situation with Max Andrews. From the news department, the situation with Chaz and Terry Garvin teaming up to take on the Dirty Davis brothers is turning dirty. I'll tell you right now, something is up with Mike Davis and his brother because he and Tom are going after Chaz with a little bit more emphasis than I've seen before. I think we had better take a look at just why, and I've got a sneaky suspicion the Lightning Kid may be behind that situation. We'll find out in coming weeks and let you know as soon as we find out. Now, one thing we haven't been able to find out this week is what is going on with Max Andrews. I do know the following facts. An investigation is being undertaken by the Global Wrestling Federation. Max Andrews has been suspended as interim commissioner. A new interim commissioner is on the way and will be taking over the investigation. I have tried calling Max Andrews this week. I have gone by his office this week and was refused entrance to his office. I have sent a fax to his office. I went as far as sending a telegram to his office. None of these contacts were returned by Max Andrews. I think he is ducking the situation, and I am very sure that he is going to be ducking it for a while to come. He is no longer the interim commissioner, so it's got to make you wonder just what is Max Andrews going to be up to. We're going to find out in the coming weeks, and I guarantee you, as we find out, so will you.
The Renegade Warriors making their way into the ring, and there's never been any doubt about the things that make these guys go. That is really the energy of the fans getting behind the Renegade Warriors, and that's what it's all about.
Mark and Chris Youngblood, another of the family teams in wrestling. And blood is much, much thicker than water when it comes to the Renegade Warriors.
I got to tell you right here, I concur totally with Joe Pedicino's comments. You know, something had to be done. Marco Villa, the head of internal affairs at the Global Wrestling Federation offices in Barcelona, Spain, came over, took care of business, and I think that's pretty much what the Renegade Warriors would like to do right here, but As much as a friend that Max Andrews used to be to me, someone had to do something, and I'm glad it was done. Now let's get back to the match in the ring. Pardon me for digressing, a personal note, if you will.
Please feel free, Gordon.
Ducking under the clothesline, Chris Youngblood. Arm drags.
You saw the chop of Chris Youngblood took Barry Horowitz off of his feet. Up into the air, parallel to the mat and down. And that's a chop that'll fill a mighty oak anywhere in this country.
Arm drag. Just about a month ago, chops were really in the sports news. And I think some fans in GWF arenas around the country have even picked up the Atlanta Braves tomahawk chop for the Renegade Warriors.
What a season for the Atlanta Braves. And hopefully, Renegade Warriors will be just as successful.
Robinson thinks he's outsmarted the Renegade Warriors. In this case, Mark Youngblood says, watch this. Well, let's see how impressed. Oh, my. Well, we were watching him, Mr. Robinson. There's a chop. Now both members of the Renegade Warriors. The whip into the rope. Double chop.
Oh, those chops hurt all the way up here, Craig. You can hear just the slap across the chest of Ed Robinson.
And now a full Nelson. Robinson. Oh, a suplex out of the full Nelson. I don't believe I've ever seen that before. Chris Youngblood using the best of the chopping along with some intriguing wrestling maneuvers. That's not a wrestling maneuver as far as I know. The tag in a bad boy, Barry Horowitz. Oh. The answer right there by the elder Youngblood, Mark.
Quick as a cat, Mark Youngblood took the arm drag takedown over, and Barry Horowitz. Oh, there's a good veteran move there.
Horowitz no slouch, one time a Florida heavyweight champion under the tutelage of one Percival Pringle III.
Oh-ho. Whatever happened to Percy Pringle?
Questions only known in the spiritual world. Meanwhile, in the ring, one half of the former 7-time World Wrestling Council Tag Team Champions tags in the younger brother. Chris Youngblood with a series of double chops, and here's a meeting. Mr. Horowitz, Mr. Robinson. Mr. Horowitz, top turnbuckle. Well, we didn't think you met enough at the first time. Horowitz over the top rope. Robinson left all by both of the ring.
I think of the two Youngblood brothers.
Was that, I really didn't see where he came from. It looked like a drop kick through the rope.
It looked like a drop kick off of the ring apron. I think of the two Youngblood brothers, that Chris, the younger brother, much more vicious and high flying, and there it is. Oh.
Shit all you want, the chop took this one home.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the match, the Renegade Warriors.
Renegade Warriors with a win. Let's go to Bonnie Blackstone. She's standing by with a viewer's comment.
Bonnie Blackstone here in the Dome with Arvila. We were talking a minute ago about Mark and Chris, the Renegade Warriors. A lot of fans here have been making noises and cheering. I wanted to know what you thought about these two remarkable young athletes.
I think they're pretty good kids. I really enjoy watching them a lot.
Now, you have to admit that their style is pretty different than maybe anybody else. You sit with some of the youngsters. What do they think about the Renegade Warriors?
They love their colors, and they love the way that they hoop and holler.
I think a lot of fans are feeling that way. The hooping and hollering of the Renegade Warriors and Arva.
What is in the case?
The
the fiddle. I hope he plays Orange Blossom Special.
For some reason, I have a hunch that the family did not pay for violin lessons. They're spending all their money giving it to that man, Mr. Skandor Akbar, to teach a prize student. There you see the Rattlesnake.
What a matchup this should be, is Rattlesnake to face off against that man, the big 6'6", 312-pound Sweet Daddy Falcone.
Falcone comes down intimidating in that black outfit. Trying to, I don't know if he's trying to intimidate them or if he's just trying to get the look and feel of his old family.
Let's leave that alone. I don't want to get any more involved in this family nonsense. As Sweet Daddy informed me on the GWF hotline, we don't want to know more about the family. That was his words, not mine. And I don't argue with the guy who is 6'6", 312.
Some last-minute instructions from the teacher to the student. If I had a teacher like that, I may have dropped out.
His tie's a little off. You notice that? Probably much akin to his personality.
And you have to wonder how much Mr. Skandor Akbar knew about this boss situation, knowing full well that he could get away with a lot of things. You notice that the coast-to-coast connection always seemed to think that, well, they could get away with just about anything. Who was going to stop them? Apparently, Akbar knew full well that the commissioner wasn't going to do anything about it. Well, with that situation for the moment changed with Marco Villa's announcement at the start of the show, you have to wonder how anxious the coast-to-coast connection would be now that they don't have a commissioner in the back pocket.
Well, they certainly don't, and I for one, am very happy that Max Andrews is no longer associated with the day-to-day operations of the Global Wrestling Federation.
As a matter of fact, no one has heard a word from Max Andrews. So you have to wonder if he's gone into seclusion, wondering what to do next.
Oh.
Falcone now going to work on the hamstring of Rattlesnake.
Rattlesnake is no midget wrestler by any means. He's a big, strong fella.
And look at that clothesline. Had no effect on Sweet Daddy. Sweet Daddy with his extra size having trouble keeping up with the quickness of the Rattlesnake. Irish whip into the corner. Falcone follows up, and once again, lack of quickness hurting him.
Take a look at the upper leg development on Rattlesnake, and that'll show you a boot to the face. There is a little extra something that knocked Sweet Daddy down.
Going for the suplex is Rattlesnake, and he delivers it. Pretty tough to do at 312 pounds. Akbar motioning for something.
Look at ringside.
What ringside? Black Bart and Wild Bill. And coming down the aisle. Headed off at the pass. Rattlesnake. Count of three. Law and order prevails.
Look at Akbar. Yeah, outsmarted.
Let's go back. No, let's stay right here. How about that? Let's go back and take a look at it. You see Akbar motioning. And look who heads him off at the pass. Meanwhile, in the ring, Rattlesnake with a roll-up. 1, 2, 3.
What a victory.
And a very frustrated coast-to-coast connection, almost to the point of tears. Right there with a little bit of a shove to Steve Simpson. Both men trying to gain an advantage, and Simpson may have a pin. Count of 2, but the feet of Bandolero on the ropes. Well, Bandolero caught off guard, now claiming a pull of the tights. I don't think so, says Steve Simpson. Simpson, single leg takedown. Puts some pressure on the knee with a toe hold. The step over toe hold puts pressure on both the ligaments in the knees and the ankle. Bandolero will try the escape. Break called for by James Beard as Bandolero reaches the ropes. Steve Simpson has shown us a lot of wrestling techniques that are foreign to those of us who are used to watching North American competitors. Nice single leg drop takedown there. Now putting pressure on the leg, asking James Beard what's he say, trying to make him possibly give up, and now has put some mucho hurting on Bandolero. Tying up both of the legs. Bandolero reaching for the eyes and rakes the eyes to get the break. Now Bandolero may have 2 bad wheels. Now Bandolero tried to get the eye gouge, but it didn't quite work as Simpson gets the advantage now with a side headlock. Steve Simpson out of South Africa. Haven't seen many wrestlers out of that country in a long time. Starting to see more and more as the months go on. Bandolero sends Simpson in the ropes. Nice shoulder block by Steve. Lets Bandolero up. Apparently didn't think he had the proper advantage there. So now both start up equal. And now maybe Simpson's going to go after the mat. Bandolero takes offense to that. Simpson will take Bandolero into the corner.
Come on now, come on, out the corner.
Simpson with a break. Bandolero's trying to figure out how to attack the man from South Africa. Simpson gains the advantage. Bandolero trying to go back to the eye. Raking the eyes once again. And now takes him into the corner. Thumb to the throat. Bandolero tried the kick, but guess who caught the foot? Steve Simpson pondering what to do with El Bandolero. Spins him and says hello. El Bandolero vomitos to the near side. Nice go behind into the full Nelson there. Putting pressure on the back of the neck. Bandolero says, no, I'm a long way from giving up if you know how to speak Spanish. I'm guessing that's what he's saying. I don't speak a word of Spanish other than buenos dias, maybe. Double leg scissors. Putting Bandolero into some major league pain there. And now Simpson's going to go after the mask. I think he wants everyone in the Global Dome to know exactly who this man is. Rolls him over for a count of 1. Had the leverage here. Bandolero gets out the first time and gets out 2 times there. Could get him for the count of 3, but only a count of 2 by James Beard. Simpson putting pressure all over the place. Now shifts it into a side scissors, putting pressure on the chest, has him in a pinning predicament for a count of 1. And now has rolled it over into an arm lock. Bandolero tries to reverse. Simpson maintains the advantage, but then reverses it into the hammerlock. First time Bandolero's really had the advantage on a hold. Right back into the action. Simpson goes after Bandolero. Simpson may have him set up for the suplex and gets him down. Not suplex by Steve Simpson. Simpson says it worked once. Let's try it again. Brings him over, and this time turns it into a slam for a count of 2. Just when you think you know what Steve Simpson's going to do, he buries the hold. Now he goes for the body slam, adds a knee to the back. Bandolero down, Simpson going to go to the higher elevations here. Steve Simpson up on the middle rope. Saying Bandolero is not quite set up the way I'd like him to be. Sets him up with a suplex, moves him a little bit farther out. Apparently, he wants this to be a long distance travel. He goes up to the top rope, comes down right on top of El Bandolero. Count of 1, count of 2, count of 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner of the match, Steve Simpson!
One has to wonder how much the boss may have planned the strategy of one Scott Anthony against the Handsome Stranger.
Well, what a situation, I guess you can say, about Scott Anthony and the Handsome Stranger. And knowing Max Andrews like I do, and you've known him for longer than I, it's hard to believe that man could come up with something like what happened to the Handsome Stranger via Scott Anthony. I certainly hope not.
The Handsome Stranger was able to come back to action, and let's take a look at the Handsome Stranger in action right here. Craig Johnson joined at our commentary position by Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert and Scott Anthony, the Palm Beach heartthrob, as it's the Handsome Stranger against Sean Summers on this edition of Supercard. Still to come, we'll see a matchup between Wild Bill Irwin and Hollywood John Tatum.
You know, he just got to think this stranger is just a fool. I mean, after I humiliated him, after I embarrassed him, first of all, I beat him up in the ring, left him laying and humiliated him. Then I cost him the TV title, which my boy Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert could have won on his own anyway. I just wanted to make sure that I humiliated the Handsome Stranger again.
So you admit that it was you that slipped on the brass knuckle?
I didn't have any brass knuckles. I wasn't even in the match. No. It's mind games. That's what we're playing with, mind games. Just playing those mind games.
And a count of 1 very quickly by the Handsome Stranger.
I know both of you probably thought about this and been asked this already, but if he's so handsome, how come he's wearing this mask? Oh, I know why. Why? He used to be a sanitation engineer in Hoboken, New Jersey, and he was in a garbage incident, and he's got a hideous scar right across the bridge of his nose. And then he claims he's from Monte Carlo. And he's boobs here in Globalsville, in beautiful downtown Globalsville. You have no idea where Monte Carlo is. That's too sophisticated for them. Why don't you put that information on the 900 line, huh?
Well, Scott Anthony appears quite regularly on the 900 hotline. A little bit more than a lot of people enjoy.
Anyway, like I was saying, no, they enjoy me. That's why they call, and that's why mine is the most called 900 number. Not yours, Johnson. But anyway, what I was saying is the man should have stayed out of wrestling. I gave him a warning. I said, stay out. Eddie, tell Johnson what I'll do. I'm going to have to hurt the stranger and put him out of wrestling for good.
He will do it, too. I'll help him if I have to.
Eddie will help me.
If I have to.
He'll help me. He won't need to, but I'd more than appreciate your help, Mr. Stuff.
Thank you, Mr. Throb.
By the way, any reaction as to the situation that Joe Pedicino found out recently about the
I was just looking here at this opponent of the stranger, and the stranger, his opponent kind of looks familiar to me. I just can't pinpoint who he reminds me of. Who does he look like? I don't know. It's kind of familiar. I don't understand. I just can't can't pinpoint it right now. But Craig, please be quiet while we commentate on the match here. I don't know what's on your mind right now. Let's get back to something else. Who does he look like? It doesn't ring a bell with me.
Jeez.
I like his tights, though. They're pretty sporty little pound feet.
Blonde hair, fat.
Blonde hair, fat.
I'm not sure. I can't picture right now.
Anyway.
Oh, he got lucky.
The Handsome Stranger. Arm drag. Brings him over.
Or as Coach John Heath would say, a wing over takedown. It's important to know the scientific terminology. Thank you.
A wing over takedown sounds like something that happens over in Japan.
Boy, that just made me hungry some chicken.
Let's order out.
No, let's stay here, putting our attention back on the matches. The Handsome Stranger seems to be having some success. Locking in. Now he locked in the arm.
Blatant hair pull. Wait, let's have a vote here. Who said it was a hair pull? Me. That's 2. What do you say?
I didn't see any.
2-1. We win. Hair pull. Unanimous. You know what? And I can't really speak for Mr. Thrive here, but you know, I'd almost be willing. If the handsome stranger would come on this television and admit he's been wrong and wants some help with his wrestling career, I would almost be willing to show him the right way to go.
No, don't do that. You're right. You're right.
As a close personal friend, I'd have to request that don't even make the offer. Because first of all, he wouldn't be smart enough to accept, because Eddie Gilbert is the maker of champions. There was Joe Weider with the original maker of champions, and then there was Eddie Gilbert. That's it.
Well, since I've thought it over now, forget it.
Because you made Sting, you made the Ultimate Warrior, you made everybody. They were all under your wing and your tutelage, and they went on to great things, but not as great as me and you have.
That's true. You all are missing a great match here.
I've made people. Oh, it's a barn burner. I've made people, and I've cost people their jobs. I've run my mouth, you know, things like that. I got a question. Yes. What is the deal here with this stranger? Why is he not just giving up the sport? Obviously, look at this. Obviously, this rookie beach dude is beating the pants off him. Why doesn't this stranger just quit the sport like I told him to? Why doesn't he listen to me? Eddie, you stupid. Tell him about people that haven't listened to me.
Stupid.
They've ended up 6 foot under, pushing up daisies. That's right. Instead of giving out roses, they'll be pushing up daisies.
And the handsome stranger, while Scott Anthony on his dissertation, able to reverse the momentum, goes in, flies off with the clothesline.
Caught him right in the throat, too.
Yeah, illegally in the throat.
Summers with an illegal poke to the eye.
Was that Doug Summers?
Sean Summers.
Younger brother?
I don't believe so.
Older brother?
Count of one, but that's about it.
Speaking of Summers, the stranger's got Summers teeth. Some are green and some are yellow. And if you're Craig, some are pink.
Count of 2 by Summers. And no video bobber director asking when Mr. Gilbert or Mr. Anthony is appearing at the Improv soon. I don't know.
I'll return that part of living down.
Hey, the stranger Plex gets him. Count of 3.
Hey, he had the tights again. It's 2 matches in a row.
Stranger.
The handsome stranger with the win. Getting that suplex with a brick. Stephen Dane, who is very proud of the fact he has won many titles over in Korea. We have been able to confirm some of the titles, but not all of the titles he's claimed to have won.
I can't even pronounce the titles he claims to have won, so I couldn't verify them.
We've seen some great action today in the GWF. And Al Perez, who at all times has to have an eye on his back for Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert of the Soul Taker. Looked like he was a little vicious in the early going, but Stephen Dane now taking that viciousness to a new extreme. But Perez with a reversal, and that is a roundhouse right. I think Perez is just outright upset.
The situation between Al Perez and Eddie Gilbert is enough to drive any man to the viciousness we're seeing from Al Perez. And we're seeing Al Perez now using a move that we saw the Soul Taker use on Al Perez during their match on another edition of GWF Wrestling. Al Perez knew how much it hurt when it was done to him, so he's going to do it to Stephen Dane. I think that's good, solid wrestling. Keeping your mind in the ring.
Speaking of moves that were used on him earlier, he is taking matters into his own hands here. Out to the second rope. 2, 3, 4. Perez has not changed his style at all since becoming a fan favorite.
Al Perez, long respected as a great technical wrestler who did take the shortcuts, now can just rely on his wrestling ability. But believe me, Craig, I'm trying to get this out here. He is not adverse to taking a shortcut whenever he needs to. You want to go toe-to-toe with Al Perez, he'll fight you clean as a whistle. But you want to bend the rules, Al Perez will break them for you.
Al Perez, at one time, one of the most hated men in the history of wrestling in Puerto Rico. He couldn't get out of the stadiums without a police guard many times. Now Stephen Dane, one of the more disliked men in the GWF, trying to take advantage of the Latin heartthrob here. Dane may have run out of gas and fill in the blank there.
10 punches took a little bit out of Al Perez, but he had just enough left to come back on Stephen Dane with that atomic drop. A clubbing elbow to the back of the head of Stephen Dane. And that elbow had no effect either.
Dane, a much improved wrestler over the past few months. Anxious to show how much he's improved in a match against Al Perez. Perez rolls him up, schoolboy. Good for a count of 3 and the win.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the match, Al Perez.
And as you mentioned, impressive win today on Major League Wrestling, but I know your mind is still on one hot stuff, Eddie Gilbert.
Well, you know, you need wins to qualify for any kind of titles, any kind of tournaments, anything that's going around, not only in the country, but around the whole world. Craig, when you have matches like this, people see it, promoters see it, bookers see it, everybody sees it, and you got to do your best. You got to put it all out all the time. You did mention one thing that is a fact. My mind is on one thing right now. It's winning. But, Eddie Gilbert, I have not forgotten you. Soul Taker, you're on my list too. I like to take one at a time, but it seems like I can't get one at a time nowadays because there's 2. I break rules all the time, and brother, you know as well as I do, I was one of the best. And if I have to resort and go back to that, I will. It's no big thing to me. I can cheat, I can fight, I can wrestle anybody, anytime, one-on-one. You want to jump on in, brother, I'm not backing down from nobody. I hear the commission finally got their stuff together. So maybe Eddie Gilbert won't be able to come behind me again. But if you do, Eddie, I'm going to do my best to have something waiting for you. Because when I get you, I'm going to get you. Soul Taker, you're too big and too strong to turn my back on. I'll get one for you, too.
The words of the Latin heartthrob, Al Perez. That'll do it on this edition. Scott, it's been a great one.
It's been a great edition, Craig. Things changing in the GWF.
And we may have more changes next week. For Bonnie Blackstone, Joe Pedicino, and Scott Hudson, I'm Craig Johnson. So long, everybody.